Okay, great. All right, so let's get started. So you can visit airtable.com, yeah, to sign up. But then before we sign up, I'm going to show you the pricing for Airtable. Airtable is a free app, but then there are some features that are under the paid version. But if you're signing up, you have access to 2 weeks of free plan on any of the plans. I'll show you quickly. Pricing. So if you go on Google and type in airtable.com, you'll come to the previous dashboard and it's going to take you to this part. If you click on pricing, okay. Quickly, need to take this off. Okay. So here we have the free version. We have team plan, we have business plan, and we have the enterprise scale. If you're signing up, you can go through the features to see the difference. I mean, you can go through the plans to see the different features for each plan. But if you're signing up, you can try starting with the teams plan, and you have 14 days access to the teams plan. Okay, so let's sign up. Okay, so after you pick your mail, you're going to be asked some questions. You can just fill in anything. Anything. Let's just do something and move on. Finance, any, and it's fine. Doesn't change anything on the long run. Sorry. Okay, great. So I'm supposed to get another prompt. Sorry.
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hello? Okay, Sister Miriam, sorry. I'm sorry for interrupting you. I think before you proceed, I think for people who are still new to some of these tools, for some of us here, this is like the first time we are hearing it's like hair table. For others, who are not from tech background, it could be a bit complicated. I will implore you if you could just like a brief intro into what Airtable is, why we should or we need to use Airtable, because most times when clients comes to you, most of them will not even have any idea of maybe you should use Airtable, you should use Zapier or any other automation tool. It's a duty as an expert, as the PA to like recommend or suggest the best tool for a particular scenario. So I'm thinking if it's possible for you to just like a brief overview, an intro into what Airtable is, and in most cases, why clients use Airtable over other automation tools.
Oh, great. Thank you for mentioning. I wanted us to access the tool, and I mentioned that. So I'll just go on while I access the tool. So basically, Airtable is a flexible and user user-friendly tool that combines the simplicity of a spreadsheet like Excel or Google Sheets with the power of a database. And it's great for organizing, for tracking, and managing information. So there are common uses of Airtable. Airtable can be used for project management, can be used for customer relationship management, CRM, inventory tracking, for content calendar, and event planning, also workflow automation. You can as well create custom tables on Airtable. You can link records, create forms, even automate tasks. There are automations within Airtable, all without coding. You don't need any background knowledge of coding. And this tool is actually very popular among teams and solo professionals. So that's just like a brief introduction. You know, if you're conversant with spreadsheets, you will know when we go through a table, you will see that there are some features that are missing in spreadsheets that Airtable came in to cover. So Airtable is more like everything that is missing in spreadsheet, like the full package. I honestly do not know what is going on here. It's supposed to prompt me to move to the next. I'll just reload. I'm sorry
Okay,
about
okay.
this.
Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you.
Yes, sir. Okay. Okay, so let me do something again. Sorry about this. It's just supposed to prompt me to the next. Um, am I missing something? Okay. So sorry. So sorry. Okay, so let's continue. So after filling in the required details, to ask if, like I said, it is common in between teams, solo professionals, and the likes. So if you want to invite your team members, if you want to collaborate, you can just add their details here, right? But if not, you can just skip and continue. So let's skip. So here we are on the dashboard. It's prompting me to pick any color of my choice. I'll just pick any and move on. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, I need to increase my screen back so I can see clearly. Okay, perfect. So I can just skip this, but then think I need to put in something at least. So this, we're not really concerned about this. This is just like a setup. Okay, let's just pick anything and move on. Okay, okay. Actually creating the dashboard from the information that I prompted in the beginning. So just a minute over this. Okay, you can see because I picked the team plan. Now I have 14-day free trial for my team plan at $0. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Get started now. So I'm going to clear this. I don't want this. So, okay, so when you sign into Airtable, this is the first page, I mean, the dashboard we are going to land on, right? So here on the dashboard, I would take us through everything we need to know. So we have what is called workspace on Airtable, right? So on the workspace, you can add different workspace. Okay. If you want to, workspace is like a collection of table. Let's compare it to the spreadsheet that we are conversant with. In your spreadsheet, you have like different other sheets that you're working on, right? So if you build a workspace, let's say task management or just anything, maybe a random name like task. So inside the workspace, we have uh, so it will prompt you this to it will ask if you want to build an app or start from scratch. This build an app option is more like creating it with like a template. But yeah, we're going to start from scratch because we're just learning this. So now we have inside a workspace, we have a base. So on a base, we can create different tables. Here on the base, you can rename your base just like you named the workspace, right? So let's say this base is for project management. It could be anything. It depends on the client challenge you're solving, right? It could be client tracker, it could be content calendar, anything. So, okay, project management, right? Good. So yeah, you can choose any kind of color. Okay, color person, right? And that's it. You have your base. Yeah, in your base, like I said, you can create different tables. So in project management, let's say for your first table, we have this. These are default fields in a table. And we're going to go through it. Just come along with me. So these
Hi,
fields
ma. Hi.
that
Hello.
I
Hello.
am with you.
I'm sorry. I am sorry to interrupt. I think some people said you are being too fast. If it's possible to slow down, I think majority of them are getting down something. I don't know, but it seems that to me, I mean to some, it seems that you are a bit too fast. If you can just slow down, please.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you for mentioning. So let me just go back to the very first step. So when you log in, when you have access to your account, you're going to get to this part of the tool, which is the dashboard. So here on the dashboard, you can create a workspace, right? So and I created a workspace already, but I'm not using this feature yet. So this is my workspace. If I drop down this arrow, it will show the workspace that I just created. So because I just created this account, I have this tagged as my first workspace. I can pick this and delete it or edit it for use, but it just comes with a new account. Okay. So here on my task workspace, I created a base already, and this is the base that we're going to be working on. In this task, I can create more than one base. I can create another base. You come here and create another base, and by clicking on start from scratch. So this is another base entirely. But let's go back to the first base I created because we don't need the extra one yet. So because I created it already, you're going to see it here. But then it's not, I haven't, you know, named it yet. So another thing is when you create, there are some client accounts that you're being added to. I'll show you how a client can add you to an account, and you see varieties of ways, and you don't want to be confused, or your own personal account. You can just any of the base that you're working on at the moment, so it stays at the top. You see, so I start this untitled base. Sorry about that. Okay, so we are back here. So it will just stay at the top of the dashboard so I can easily identify it. So if you're working with a client and the client needs to add you to his or her Airtable account, you can just create a short little video showing your clients on how to add you. You will come to, no, sorry, this is when you want to rename the workspace. If you need to do any settings, we'll come there later. So you can just come to share, right? You can just do a quick film video showing the client how to do this. So yeah, when you click on this share, you can just email, invite, or create a link. So your client can just add your email to this part and give you a user permission. So because you're going to be working on the base, it is best to give you either creator or editor. So you can have full permission. Commenter, you will not be able to work on the base, you can just comment. And for read only, just like it stated, you're just going to be able to read. So make sure state it that your client should give you a creator or editor or owner if wants to transfer ownership, but then it should be creator or editor. That's it. So you can click on the notify to get a notification, but then if this is not being clicked, you can just log into your Airtable and you will see right inside your account, you will see your client's workspace. Yes, right inside your account, because you have been granted permission to the account. So that's it about um, getting added to your client's account. Or when you're working as a team and you need to join another team's account. So I'm the only one here. That's why it's showing only me as the workspace collaborator. And what's that thing here? Okay. So here we have templates and apps. We click on this. If you, just as it prompted us when I signed up initially, it asks some questions. So I could tailor it to a particular template that will work based on the responses I give. So if you don't want to start from the beginning, if you have an idea of what you want to work on, you can play around the templates. You can, maybe it's content, it's project management, marketing, or anything. You can just choose any of it. So you don't need to go through the stress of starting all over, right? This is expense tracking, project tracker, any of it. You know how templates can come in handy, right? You can click on see all templates to see all other templates. We want to go in there now. Let's just move on. So that's it about templates and apps. For marketplace, this is where you're going to find other apps that are not within Airtable, or like when you want to create a dashboard. Okay, so when you come to the marketplace, you're going to see varieties of options. You could just explore and see what works based on your needs. Okay, it's quite a number of it. So, okay, you can see, in case you just need a report in a chart format, you can use this chart. And in case you need to integrate Typeform or any other apps that is not within the nativity of Airtable, you can come to the marketplace. Okay, so let's go back to our workspace. Okay, so here on our workspace, remember I created a base, and I said a base, we can have number of bases under a particular workspace. So here on this task workspace, remember you can check it here when you drop down this is your task workspace. So we have this untitled and the project management. So if you want to filter your view when you're checking out your base, if you want it to show just bases, we're going to be touching on interfaces. But now, if you want it to show only bases, you will just click on bases. But because we have only bases now, that's the only thing that will show. But like I said, you can be working on quite a number of bases and interfaces on a page, and you don't want to get confused. So that is when this comes in handy. And also, like I said, you can be working with your team members and you just want to see the ones that you are working on. You can just click on open by you or filter it to any of these options alphabetically, oldest to newest, and likes. Okay, so that's it. Let's go in. So this is our base and we have named it project management. Yes. So here on our base, I said it that we can create, okay, let's picture it as a spreadsheet. We are picturing our base as a spreadsheet and we are picturing the tables in our base as the sheets in a spreadsheet. You get it? So this is table one, right? If you want to add a new table, you click on add or import. So sometimes you're probably working on a database that used to be in a spreadsheet or any other place your client has their data, and you don't necessarily have to like start all over. So you can just click on, you know, import, right? And import any of this like CSV file. There are some that we cannot access here because we are on this free plan. You can import Google Sheets, Microsoft Excel, Smart Sheets, and a lot of it. You can import data from your Google Drive, Microsoft Access, and the likes. So, okay. Even on this table that has been created, we have import data just as I explained, right? So let's quickly import a data into our base. We'll see how it will populate. So yeah, I'm going to import from my computer and we're going to do this. Remember, there are certain types of documents it can accept. There's CSV, there's Excel, right? So this is an Excel file. Okay. I mean, this is CSV right now. So you click on upload file. Sometimes some clients don't even know how to do this and they just ask that, oh, I have some, data in a spreadsheet and I would love to migrate to Airtable. It's as simple as this. It's just, getting it mapped out well and importing. So, okay, so I wouldn't be mapping this yet. I'll just import it. And let's see how it will populate on our table. One moment. Okay, so here we are. This is the spreadsheet I just imported, right? So we'll be working on it soon. Just wanted to show you how to import data into your table. So like I explained, you can rename your table. Let's say this is text or anything you want to name it. Okay. Then you save. If you create another one, you can, name it another thing. Back to the drop down. if you want to hide a table, let's assume you're working on numbers of table and a particular table is not relevant at the moment, you can just click on hide. You can show table. We're showing this because we're working on it. So you can duplicate table. Yes. Then you can add description to a table. Remember, if you're working with a team and you just want them to have an idea of what is going on in the team table, right? You can just write something, maybe for inventory. I mean, yeah, so when you just hover on this icon to show you the, you know, the description for that table. Yes, so that's it about that. Moving on. So we're going to touch this soon. We have this grid view, right? So this is like the default view that comes with every table. This view that we are seeing, it's like the normal spreadsheet kind of view, the table view. Yes, but then there are other views that we are going to explore soon. This, if you want to create a new view, you can choose this grid view, you can choose calendar view. Let's open calendar view. So when you pick a particular view, you can rename it, you can leave it the same. So let's say this is for key dates because calendar view works with dates. Sorry about that. Yes. So when you're creating a view, you can decide that it's going to be a personal one. In case all that team members, you don't want them to see it, you can lock it. Okay. So we're going to leave it as collaborative. Then we create a new view. So we're not going to see anything on this view because we don't have. So this view works on the general table, like the general view that we have, which is this default view, grid view. But we don't have any dates on the view. So it's not going to populate anything. But if I come here and I'll be showing us how, okay, let's say we are adding a date. Okay, before we go there, to avoid confusion, let's go through other stuff. Then we'll come back to views when we have our data organized. So yeah, the same way we can hide tables, we can hide fields. So what are fields? In Airtable, fields are like columns in spreadsheets. Our Google Sheets, our Excel sheets, the column like this is another column. These are called fields in Airtable. So sometimes we have like 20 of it and they are not necessary on the table. Not that we want to delete it, but we don't want the table to be cluttered. So we make use of hide field. So yeah, I can hide all and they will all disappear, excluding the primary field. I'll explain that soon. But I can decide to show only attachments. I can decide to show only status, just to keep the table organized. Because like I said, you might be working on quite a number of records and you just want it to be organized. So this hide fields comes in handy. So moving on. Okay, before we go to that, I would explain these fields in Airtable. Let me change this. So we have our, oh sorry, show all. Okay, so we have it. I explained already that we have this as our fields, just as columns in spreadsheets. So we have in spreadsheets, we know that these are called rows. I mean horizontally, yes. But here in Airtable, they are called records. Yes. So these terminologies are very important so you can get familiar with it. You can just, compare with spreadsheets and you get an idea of what I'm talking about. So these are fields, yes, and these are rows and records, pardon me. So in a field, there are different options. Okay, so you can edit field, you can duplicate field, you can insert to the right. I mean, you want to create another one, and just click it, you can see. So I mentioned earlier that this is a primary field in Airtable and it cannot be deleted. It serves as a unique identifier when you are creating data. I mean, anything that is going to be here is going to be unique for the data that will be imputed in the table. Okay, let's assume we're going to check through the options that we have for this primary field. So there's the single line test, there's the long test, dates. These are the only data types, whereas we have more than this in all other tables. When we get to the other ones, I'll explain what this is. But bear in mind that this primary field cannot be deleted. I mean, there's no option to delete it, right? Okay. So this, like I said, when you create a new table, you get these default fields. They will come with any table that you are filling, but you can change it, right? You can change it, you can delete it, excluding the primary field. So for these notes, okay, let's start with okay, link to record. We're going to get to this later so as to avoid confusion. So we know the single line text is for short description. Let's assume what you want to input is just a short description. You can just pick the single line text like the one we have for name, maybe for first name, last name, any short text. Then we have long text, right? Maybe you're creating a content calendar or you're saving an email draft in your field, I mean record, yes, you can just click on the long text. So it will enable you to write as long as you want to. So we have attachments. So if you need to add like PDFs, DAW to your table, you make use of this data type. Then moving on, we have checkbox. Yes, checkbox is just as it is, maybe something like this. So when you create a checkbox field, okay, we're doing that now. Okay, so, and when you're creating it, you can maybe edit the title to like status or path or anything, depending on what you're working on. So here you can see if you want to mark so person. So when you create a new field, these first three lines are empty because they are there by default. I mean, when I imported the data set. So imagine I just want to mark Charlie present. You can just check it. That's the importance of checkbox. Let's move on to the next one. You click on edit, then what's the next? Okay, so we have multiple select. Multiple select is like drop down. When you need a field for someone to choose different options, you use multiple select. So you had your options there. This color code, if you don't want the output to be color coded, you can just toggle this off. But just to beautify it and make it more visually appealing, you can just pick the color coding, and here you can change your color to anyone you prefer. So let's see, we have rice, we have beans, and we have gari, for instance, right? And you create this as, remember to change this because we clicked on a particular field type and we are changing it to another one. So you can just food options, maybe. So this is how multiple select works, and just save it. So when you want to pick, you can just click on it and it will drop down. This will allow you to click more than one. You can click the three options. So that's the importance of what's it called? Multiple select. So this field is a single select field. Yes, you can see it. So when you open a particular field, the first thing you see is the title of that field, which you can change. The second one is where you pick the data type that you want, like the field type. So as we've seen, we have single select here. Then color code option is on, so that anytime we pick it, we can play around colors. So here I have to do, in progress, done, application status, and we tag it as status feed. Okay. So for this single select, you save. So when you are picking, okay, so this is populating because I imported the records. Let's assume, okay, let's duplicate. I'm not duplicating the cells. We want it empty. It's going to show copy because we cannot tag both as status. Okay. So here on the record, you can just click and pick one option. Remember, this is single select, so there's no option to pick more than one, only if you want to change it. So that's how single select works. We've talked about attachments. So if you want to add a new field, you click on this plus button and we move on to the next one, which is user. User is like you adding a people column. Remember that you can work in teams on your Airtable. So you want to add this so that you can assign maybe a task or project to a particular person in your team. Then you can tag it as maybe people or assignee or anything. Okay. So if you toggle on this, it will notify anybody that you're tagging, and anyone you're tagging as a user has to be part of the team. So this is going to be on, and let's see. Okay, so these are the only two people. I'm the only one on this, just one. I'm the only one on this plan. So I'll pick this and we create a field. Okay, so this is it. If you want to invite a new team member, you can even do it through this option by clicking on invite a new user. And if you want to invite a new user, you can choose to invite them on your workspace so they have access to all other all other tables in your, all other based on your workspace, or you invite them as, sorry, you allow them access to only the base you want them to work on, and the kind of permission you give also matters. Do you want them to also create alongside you? Do you want them to be able to edit? Do you just want them to comment? Do you just want them to read? So this also matters when we are creating a new user. So before we move on, do we have anyone with a question? Can you signify? Can you raise your hand so you can be unmuted? Or do we have any in the chat? I think I'll just go on. Okay, okay. I'll just take a few questions and move on. And please, if you're asking any question, please ask from what we've discussed, so I will not throw us back. Um, Chidera. Okay, Chidera, you can unmute. I think, okay. So Chidera, you can unmute and ask a question. Hello, Chidera. But you can just write in the chat box then. I'm trying to, I don't know.
Hello, good evening.
Okay. Good evening.
All right, this is Adiola, not Chidera. So
All right,
I
Adela.
have a question with the workspace actually. So before now, I was playing around Airtable before today. So I didn't create my base within a workspace. So is there a way I can move the base into a workspace since I didn't create a workspace before creating the base?
Okay. You didn't create a workspace before creating your base.
Yes, I just moved to start from scratch. That was the option I saw and some other options. So I just did start from scratch. I didn't create a workspace.
Okay, so in that situation, you created it under, remember I mentioned that when you create a new account, this workspace comes with it and it is tagged my first workspace. So
Yes.
your base is under this workspace. If you click on my first workspace, your base is definitely there. So you can rename it to whatever thing you want. But that's where your
Okay.
base is because you cannot create a base without a workspace. A base is going to be under a workspace.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
So one more question. Purple, can you go on?
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you so much, Ma, for the class. It's very informative. My only concern is not like a question. It's just that I was trying to follow you as you were teaching, but too many write-ups in the chat box is really distracting. Don't know if there's a way it can be maybe locked for the time of during the time of the lesson, maybe after the lesson, so that we can see clearly. Thank you, Ma.
Okay. You're welcome. The community manager will attend to that. Thank you for mentioning. So let's go on. We're going back to our base. Okay. So back here. Okay, now we have the date field. Just as it implies, you use this when you want to work with any date. Okay, I can target anything like start date, end date, but this is what you choose where you want to add a date to your table. Good. So here you can format it. If you're working with a foreign client, sometimes they prefer their date formats to be in this way. That's month, date, and year, or any format whatsoever. Then you can include time. If you want to see your time alongside your dates, and display time zone, and that's it. So for any field you're creating, you can add a description. I mean, sometimes you're creating beyond the date and you just want any other person that is coming there to have an idea of what, why or what you created here. So you can just add maybe something that they can, that will give them an idea, right? Maybe for this date, you can just write project start dates. Just want to show you how the description works for each project start date. Can be longer than that. Okay. Then you save, then you create field. So with this, anybody that comes there can just hover around this and see the description for that particular field, right? So moving on to the next type, we have phone number. Yes, if you want to get phone numbers of people on your table, you choose this phone number field. Okay. You can as well name it. If you don't name it, it will automatically fill in the type of field that you picked. But sometimes you just need to fill it and add description. Then the next one, we have email. Yes, this field is for email. So for this email, you can choose a single line text, but then this is better just to format the email properly. So we have URL field. You can tag it as link. So yeah, oh sorry. So for this URL, when you create the field, you can add any link to this field, and it takes you automatically to yeah. So maybe anything. So it populates as a link, and it can take you directly to the said place. So let's go back. So that's the purpose of the link field. Remember, you can change any field. You can delete it, right? Yes. So in case you want to edit a particular field, you go back there, you change the name, then you change the field type. The last one we did was URL. Now we're going to number. In case you need to put in a figure, pick the number field and you can format it. So for number field, you can have your number in decimals, you can have it in whole number, you can have it in one decimal place, right? And just play around all this. So same as this, you can see this is 0.1, so and the likes. So let's pick 0. Then if your figure is in thousands, do you want like a comma to show thousand separator, or you just want it to be written like that? That's the essence of this. Then for large numbers, maybe you're writing in millions or billions, do you want it to be, you know, do you want it in that format, like an abbreviation? So if we choose for million, if okay, allow, I want to try to, okay, so for this million now, if you write 34 million, like 34 and 0000, instead of writing all the zeros, it's just coming as 34 million. So let's try that. We can save, convert. Where is it? Oh, I didn't change the type. So remember, I converted the field. So always watch out for that. So let's say figure and save. So here you can just double click, then you write it in. Let's say 6,000. This up to million. You can see we have 60 million. So in between your fields, you can decide to move it around. Oh, I don't want it to be there. I want to move it here. Airtable is that flexible. Oh, the only one you cannot move is this primary field, and it's the same one that cannot be deleted. If you want to adjust the length, you can do this. Same as this, the row height can be short. If you're probably using it for content and you want it in a medium size, tall, extra tall, you just click on it. You can see it changed. So let's go back to shorts. You can see. Yes. So are we done with the fields? I think we still have a few more before we move on to the next one. So for currency, if you're dealing with currency, right? Like monetary amount, you click on this. Let's say salary. So for salary, we already picked currency, right? Sorry about that. Yes, so you can also format this. Do you want it in decimal place? Do you want it in O? Do you want it abbreviated? Any? So let's pick O number. Then you can change the currency type. Is it naira, dollar, or the likes? What was it before? So go back to dollar. Then do you want it in decimal place? No. You can pick 0,000 separator, just as we explained earlier. If you want to allow negative number, you can toggle this on, and that's it for the currency field. So when you're working on anything on your table and you probably made a mistake and you want to redo, there's an undo or redo button here. So here it is. When you click on this icon, is history. We have undo, but just like the normal Control Z, right? Then redo, Control Shift Z. Then for snapshots, snapshots serves as like a backup for your table. What do I mean by that? So if Well, let's click on this snapshot now. So you see what is written. If I take a snapshot now, it's going to, we'll do that soon. But let's read this. So for a free version, you have 2 weeks of snapshot history. So if you want it to be longer than that, you have to upgrade. So let's take a snapshot. So for snapshots, like I said, it's a backup. Okay, we just took a snapshot of your base. You can restore to these snapshots in case you lose any data. Or you need to, get back to your previous table to check out for some things. And remember, it's just for 2 weeks. So if you go back to your workspace, you will see a snapshot. Okay, because I already changed this. Let's show all types. Show here. Okay. Yeah, let's do that again. Project management. Then this icon, then snapshot. Okay, so this is the snapshot. You can re-edit it. Let's say backup. So thing backup, maybe project management backup. So I didn't save it. I only took the snapshot. I was supposed to go back there, rename it, and I'll create the copy. It's not like a copy, right? But it's different from duplicate because, like I said, snapshot is just for 2 weeks. But if you make a duplicate, you can always access it anytime, right? Or if you're on the pro plan, there's an option to take a snapshot. I think at intervals, there's a settings for that. So this is the snapshot base. I named it backup, and the exact thing I have on my table is what will appear here. So let's go back to our normal base. Okay, project management. So the other field types we have percentage. If what you're working on requires to have a percentage symbol, you pick this. Duration. This one, it enters the duration of time in hours or minutes for anything you want. Then rating, you can name it as like score or something, or feedback. To show you how it works. Then you can choose the type of rating you want. Is it love? Okay, so we are restricted. We can't pick other ones. So let's do with this. How many ratings do you want? It can be 1, can be 2, can be 6. Remember, you might not even have to use all this, right? But then just to have an idea of what you have in place so that you can choose the right option. As we're going through all this, you can add a description of what this field is about, then you create a field. So here on the feedback, you can see you can choose 3 rating, you can come here 4 rating, 5 rating, and that's it for feedback. Moving on to the next one. So we have, okay, formula field. We'll be back to formula, roll up, and this fields, we'll be back to it. Let's do it. Okay, now we have created time. So for this created time field, if you're working on a base and you want to know the exact time a particular action was taken, you choose a created time field. Then you format it, you want to include time. So when an action is taken, or maybe when a data is updated on that field, you know when the exact, you will know the exact time that was done. And also maybe when you need to filter, we'll do that soon. So that's it for created time. Let's create this field. So you can see. And it doesn't even matter if you created the data as before, maybe yesterday, today. The moment you had the field, it will populate the time you created this field. So this field was, this data were imported by this time at this date. So that's the essence of data field. If I had a new one here, let's just say Miriam. Okay. So I have Miriam. See, it will auto-populate the exact time and date that you added the field. So that is for created date and time. Last modified time. I believe we were conversant with our Google Drive. You would have seen this couple of times. So for this last modified times, you can choose a specific field. Okay, oh, if it's I want it to be only when start date was modified. That is when I want to see the time. But okay, oh, any part of the table, all editable fields. So let's go with that. When you create this, you can see. So the difference between created time and last modified time is that if I work on this data and I change something, okay, for this salary now, maybe the salary is $60,000, right? So it has been created. But this last modifier time, okay, 9:33, right? So if it's past 9:33 and I come to change this data again, or anyone, remember we choose for all fit time, it will change the last modifier time. Sometimes it's just used to track a particular thing that is going on the days. Or it could be when you are running an automation, like you're integrating a third party to into Airtable. It might require some of these fields, and that's when it comes in handy. So created by, you want to know who creates the particular data, or yes, data can add created by field. Remember, if you don't name it, it automatically targets as the field type. So when you do this, is because I was the one that created all this. If any of my team member comes and creates another field, as far as they are on this list, it will populate there and show that they were the one that did it. Moving on. Okay, last modified by is just like last modified time, but here it's going to show the last person that edited the field. Then auto number. Auto number gives a unique identifier to fields, right? Let's say ID. If you want to give ID to maybe a track or a task, list of tasks, you pick auto number and this thing, you can see. So each field has its own unique number. So barcode, button, these are random fields that we can just play around. So for button, if I want a particular button to do a particular action, let's assume this is click me. Yeah. So I was going to choose the next one, and I label it as anything. It's button, right? And I want it to be click me too. I'll change it. Then I don't want it to be blue. I want another color. Change it. Then what kind of action do you want to happen? There are varieties of actions. You can run a script, you can preview a URL, you can send email, and the likes. You can just play around this to see what works. So if you want a unique URL for this, we can work with this. Let's assume you created a form for people to fill, and when they fill, their details, like the name they bear on their, I want to do something like this. Let's put in a formula for linking. Okay, it's supposed to be, sorry, www or just want to show us how this works and how it's different from www.linkedin.com. Slash IN is airline now. This is how it works. Okay. Then another slash. Okay. Before then, interesting. I want to create a field for maybe single line text. Hey, does anyone have a question before I move on while I sort this out? Please signify. So, name. Is anybody signifying? Is this a recent one? Okay, Miami. Okay, Miami, go on, please.
Okay, thank you, ma, for the class. I really appreciate this. But ma, I would like it if you can give us a maybe a practical class, so you will be directing us to start and be leading us with information. So as you are leading us like that, we'll be projecting it in our on our own system, so we know that we are really in line with this. Because now you have imported a particular file. What about starting all afresh without any file, like you are the one to create everything? So the process and everything, I think you can ask us to do some classwork, or you lead us in a practical session. I don't know if there's an arrangement for that, because it's
Okay.
one thing for you to learn like the way you are teaching now. It's another thing like you are doing it. So I think that will give you more confidence that yes, I can really do this. And every other time you can then practice on your own once you have already have the
Sorry, please. Let me answer that question. Their trainer. Yeah, it's actually a very practical class, like I told you. And today is the first class in the first of our class, on Airtable. And we are not expecting her to just come to this class and bring maybe a client's demand or client to work on Upwork or any other platform and start working on it. No, it's not work that way. There has to be some introduction, there has to be some background. And this class so far has done on wonder to that. So tomorrow, and it's part of the agreement I had with her. Because initially it was supposed to be like just for a day, but I thought I bet that she's not doing this for money, she's just doing it to give it back to the community. You understand? So tomorrow she's going to the class with live clients work on Upwork, like the demands from clients, what they are looking for, the requirements, how you can translate those requirements into deliverables as an Airtable expert. So please, I would like you to use the word not practical. This is a very practical class, because if it's not practical, she can just come to this class with a prepared notes and go through her presentation and notes and leave the class. But she's going through the modules, what you are supposed to understand on head table, the fundamentals. And these are some of the things that you will need when you start working on real life projects. So tomorrow she's come to the class with live client demands, clients work, and walk you through how you can translate those requirements. Those because if you're working for a client, you're not expecting something similar to what is being taught in this class. Yes, most times it may even be a bit complicated than this. But if you understand the fundamentals, if you understand the principles of Airtable, then it will be very, very easy for you to translate those requirements into your deliverables. So that's what I would say. Do you have any question, anything you want to add, Madam Miriam?
Okay, thank you for mentioning. You said it right already. I mean, there's no way you're getting started with a tool that you wouldn't, go through the fundamentals. And this is the fundamentals. I mean, it is very, very important for you to understand terminologies that are used and how the whole tool works. I mean, different functions, different fields. So that's why we are doing this first. It's very okay for us to just go on Upwork, bring clients challenges and so. Well, trust me, you're going to get lost. So this might seem easy, but it's very important for some people to get started. So please just bear with us for today. And when we implement the client challenge by tomorrow, God's willing, you see the importance of this step that we are taking. So thank you for being patient. Okay, so that's about the fields that I was working on or showing, right? So I created a date field. Yeah, I just added few. You can just double click to bring the calendar and you can pick any date. I just want us to see how the calendar view works. Like I said, okay, I think I need to touch on this. So on a table, I'm sorry this is a mess, but we just need to, we need this to get started, right? So we have this called filter, right? And what does filter does? It works on a condition. Okay, I want to only see, let's see, I want to only see maybe the start date field that is exactly a particular thing or is exactly a month ago, tomorrow, yesterday, depending on the data that is in your date field or you enter a date. That's because we are choosing a start date. I remember we are filtering because we want to see a particular thing. So let's say we want to see for food options. In our food option is a multi-select field. So we just want to see food options that has rice in it. You can just come to filter here, right? And choose this. You say it's exactly or any other operator as any of, is exactly, as none of, is empty, is not empty. Let's say this. So to bring in the options that we have rice, beans, curry. Let's choose rice. So it is going to filter, it's going to filter, okay, before then, I think I didn't choose any for only rice. I think I have rice and beans. Okay, good. So this is going to filter my table to only show me the field, the record that has only rice and beans. Do you get it? So from this, you can create the view. Just as it is here, you duplicate this view. So here we can name it food option. Just trying to play around how filtering works. Food option, right? Then you go back to your general view. No. So here on general, you can just delete the filter and you get back your details. So it could be in any format. Oh, I want to see so name only. Or I want to see, depends on the field type that you have. I want to see only assignee that is for Mariam. I want to see only feedback that has 5 rating. Filter does it. So that's for filter. I want to, okay, for grouping. Grouping is just like categorizing, right? So you just want to like organize it and have a clear picture of what exactly is on your table. So when we pick this, I can, group it according to the food option, right? And it can be first to last, last to first. Yes. So the food option that we have here, we have rice. We have, this might not work because it's a multi-select field. So let's say according to the status I created. Yes. So now I have on my status feed, I have pending. I think most of it is pending, right? Because I've not done any edit. So I have, okay, these ones are not grouped. Wait, let's delete it and regroup. So let's use it to do, just have an idea of how to do in progress. And last one, in progress. Okay, so let's group it according to that status. You can see. You can see. So the first one is empty for fields that are empty. Look at this. So here we have only those records that are that to do was selected for. Then we have in progress and the other ones that are not tagged, pending. This application view is not supposed to be there, but because we didn't map our data properly, that's why we're having it here. Okay, so we can remove it and we can just delete. So you can also play with sortings and colors. So for sorting, you don't sort by name. Okay, you want the names to be, yes, of course, alphabetically arranged. Or do you want to start from Z to A? Any works, right? But let's do A to Z. So you already sorted the table according to the names, right? Okay, we can't do this on this plan. So there are other forms of sorting. Do you want to sort by, just play around it, by, what's it called? By the status field, first to last. And here it's going to highlight the field that you're sorting with. So remember we created another view from the filtering that we did. So anytime anything that is populated on the general view would also be on the second view that we created from general view, which is the food option view. So it automatically populates here as well. So, okay, quickly, the calendar view, you can just leave it as calendar, right? So it shows the dates field from your general view. So yeah, we only have, okay, yes, we have other fields, so there are dates. So let's do by start date. If we're using a team plan, you can choose more than one date field on your calendar view. But here we are restricted to this. So we're choosing start date. Yes. So yeah, we just have a visual representation in the calendar form. Okay, Ethan start date is on the 6th of May. Anna start date is on the 7th and the likes. So this is Kanban view. If you're familiar with Trello, you know how views are in cards, they're displayed in cards. That's how Kanban works here too. So you can move fields from one, what's it called, to another. This is filtered in status. I mean, I use the status field to filter this. So in Kanban, you can just move around anywhere, right? So that's it for the Kanban view. The grid view is the same as the default view when we created the table. So, do you have any question before I go on to forms? Okay. I also need to touch upon other fields type like formula, links. They are the advanced field types. But okay, right chart. Sorry, did I call it right? Please just ask question related to what we've done, so we can just move on. Acha, please, can you talk? Are you unmuted? Yes.
Question. I wanted to ask from the last speech you explained uh, to create those data in this calendar. Like, is it the same data we are creating like Saban, Gallery, or something like that?
No, can you come again?
I said for the last thing you explained,
Okay.
like we have the project management in big view, firstly. So if you want,
Okay.
is it the same data we are converting to calendar, gallery type, or Kaban?
Yes, yes, it's the same from the general view. Remember that when you create a table, this is our first table I created, which is called test. This is a default view and it's a grid view type. So everything, every data you have is on this view. So you can refer to this when you are creating any kind of views. So for calendar, that works with the date views. I'm sorry, date field on the general view. Does that answer your question?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So anyone else? Just one more, then move on. Okay. Yeah, please, can you talk now?
Hello.
Hello?
Okay, sir.
Okay, yeah, I saw some messages in the chat section from people who are like this beginning to look like a magic to them. Maybe people who don't have a tech background, people with high expectation joining this boot camp. Yeah, it's normal. I mean, you're not expected to master everything today, and that's where we are recording the class. After the boot camp, after the session today, you will receive the link to download the recording. And if you are a newbie, like you are a fresher in this boot camp, I'm not even expecting you to know anything for the first 3 or 4 sections. Yeah, because you are still new. You are coming from a place of know nothing. I mean, maybe you don't even know how to use Excel, you don't know how to use some of these tools or software, and that is understandable. But what I would like you to do is the comment by one of the participants here. Um, Watch the recording after the section, then implement, follow her, whatever she does in the class, follow her, implement it. If you don't implement it, then you're not gonna get anything tangible or meaning from this class. So you're not just here to like listen to her, go to Twitter or Facebook and inform your friends, I've started a bootcamp, stuff like that. No, you will learn greatly when you start implementing what is being taught in this class. Right. So once the recording implement, follow her as she teaches, then come back to the group. There's a group for you. There's a group for you, and there's a subsection in the group where you can ask whatever issues you have, whatever problems you encounter when you are watching the recording. So send your questions to the group, and I believe that your colleagues, your participants, your co-participants will answer your questions. So you are not expected to like understand what is being taught here if you are a newbie, total newbie in pressure. No. So the essence of this class is to watch her does what um she's currently doing now, pay attention to the class. Then after this section, we watch the recording again, then implement. Like I said, tomorrow she's coming to the class with a live client statement and client request from most of these freelancing platforms. Then you can tackle it together. But before tomorrow's class, I'm expecting you to like go through this recording again so that you gain some concepts, some principles and fundamentals, so that when they are solving the issue tomorrow, when they're solving the problem tomorrow in the class, it will look entirely new to you again. So that's my advice for you.
Thank you, sir. So one more thing, it's okay to feel lost. It's very okay. I mean, you cannot master it at once, right? So just take it one at a time. Refer to YouTube video. I mean, after today's class, it is going to be different from you not knowing Airtable at all. No matter how little you're going to learn, you're going to, you know, upgrade from zero knowledge of Airtable. So just take it one at a time. If you need to understand a particular concept, you can just check YouTube how to create a calendar view on Airtable. Just that simple, right? How to add so field. There are lots of resources out there for you. But this is just an introductory class. No matter how long you know, no matter how long this class is, we cannot cover all. Cannot cover all. That's why we're touching a bit of everything. So you can have an idea that you can fall back to. So quickly, let's work on creating a form. Yes. So the same way you can create Google form to collect responses from people. Maybe you must have, come across a form tagged Airtable and you're wondering, what tool is this? So you can do the same thing on Airtable, right? And that's where the form feature comes in. Okay, so there are two ways to creating forms on Airtable. You can come through this path or you click on this. It's the same thing. Okay, so let's click on build your first form. Then you can work with templates. I think there's an option for templates there. Yes, if you just want to have an idea of how your form should look, rather, or you just start from the scratch and explore that you have control over what you're building. So it's loading. So one thing about Airtable form is responses are gotten and they are automatically filled on the table, right? So okay, we're not using templates, so we're starting from the beginning. You click on new form. Yeah, where would you like your responses to go? Okay, just as I said, when responses are gotten, they are saved on a table. So now we need to pick where we want it to be. Remember, we created a base called, we created a table. Yes, this is table called test. We don't have a new table, but we can decide that we don't want this form response to go on that table. It is organized, right? So we want a new table for a particular purpose. So I create a new table and I tag it as form response. Okay. Then you can also give your like client onboarding. Yes. So you create form. Okay, yeah. So yeah, you can add an image. Yes. I just play around that. If the business has a logo, you can put a logo. We already tagged our form as client onboarding. If you want to edit it, you can do that here. But we're moving on. So if you want to ask a question, okay, so yeah, personalize your form with conditional. No, we're not doing this yet. Let's start simple. So what question? What's your name or first name? Anything. First name. Then add another one. Okay, so if you need to edit anything, yeah, we have If you need to explain what the question is about, like further explanation, yes, you can choose that. Trying to see other things that we have. It's basically just simple. Then we add the next one. So single line text. Then I think first name. So as you're creating the question, you're creating the field that you're populating it into. That's it. Then the next one, like, what would you like to say? Your preference, maybe. Then and so on and so forth. Let's preview. Let's see what we have. I don't want to add any image. So this is it. So we're editing this. Let's say this is the first name and the other one is the last name. So this is more like you're creating the field that is going to get these responses. And we'll see that shortly. Okay. We're previewing, right? Let's try to fill. Mariam. You can add email, you can add phone. Just want to be simple with it. Nothing. Then submitting, right? Let's see how it will populate. Refresh. So you can customize your page. I mean the form, whichever way you want it, and also it depends on the responses that you want to get. It's loading. I want us to see the outcome of this so we can end today's class. So tomorrow we're going to touch on formula fields, lookup, roll up, count, and what's the other one? Linked field while we work on the client challenge. Yeah. Okay, so while this loads, do we have a final question for today's class? So we can just end this session based on what we've done so far. Ideally, when you're done creating the form, you're supposed to publish it, but this is a preview, right?
Mr. Richard Polano, yeah, you can ask the question. And Rosemary is the Madi.
Okay, I think I need to unmute.
Okay, thank you very much, ma. And
Oh,
I'm
okay.
very sorry. But I'm a French guy, so I just try to speak English. What I'm going to ask is from the last form creation. I want to ask as a USY designer who is going to create like a survey form, can I use this particular form section to do something like that?
A UX designer rather that wants to do what? I didn't get that.
Like who want to carry survey and like using if I don't want to use a Google form, can I use this particular form session from Airtable? Because I'm
Yeah,
seeing
sure.
somewhere to
Yes, you
carry
can do
survey.
that. Yes, you can do
Okay,
that.
thank you
And
very
you
much.
get the responses populated on a table. So here
Okay.
we are. I published the form already. Quickly before I go on to the next person. So ideally, when you're done creating your form, you want to choose anyone on the web if you're sharing it out. If you click on this, that means it's restricted to only users with base access, and we don't want that. So you just click on this so anybody can access it. So regarding the person that wants to carry out a survey, after you create this, you just need to click this so anybody outside your base can access it. Then you copy link. So this same link is what people are going to pre-fill and you get their responses. I want to quickly fill that so we can see how it populates.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. So next person, please, while this load.
Okay, so my question is, aside this project management workspace that we just created, if we wanted to do something that has to do with maybe content or maybe email marketing, is it that Airtable gives us a template automatically? Is that what it means?
No, they are templates, they are pre-made templates, right? But then you can start from afresh. If you join the class early, I mentioned when the class started that if you want to create a base, there's an option to use pre-made template or you start afresh. So there are options to pick from.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Yusuf Abdul Wahab.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, good evening. Thank you for the tutorial you've given us since morning. It's been very enlightening. Thank you for your time. This my question is this. Let's assume I have an application I've developed already that is working. You said Airtable uses database, right?
Yes.
So is it possible for me to integrate my own database from my own application with Airtable? Or must I use Airtable's own database? So like can I populate Airtable this UI with data from my database?
What kind of data, if I may ask?
Maybe data from my SQL table.
I don't quite get that.
Okay, let's
I'm
assume
not
I have.
conversant with the terms you're talking about. Okay,
Oh, okay,
please
I'm
can you
sorry
go
about
on?
that.
Can you go on?
Okay, so let's assume I created an application that uses my SQL database. So is it possible for me to link that database now to this Airtable? That can I populate this Airtable with data from that database?
Okay, if I mean data, if I say data, I mean records like maybe names, links, like anything that can fall under any of these fields. Sure, you can.
Okay,
If you want your SQL to come
okay,
in as a text, I don't know how that comes in. It's a code, right? So you can just choose. I don't know how why you want to save it on Airtable. It also depends on what you want to do. Okay, so take for instance, we have a coach that has clients that the coach is managing a lot of clients.
okay. Please,
Definitely,
I think I didn't ask my question properly. So
come
the
again.
MySQL database now, let's assume is collecting form data from a website and I'm storing it inside that database. So now and I want to create a chart on Airtable to show like the statistics of that table, like where people are coming from, location and things like that. Can I populate a table with that data, then use maybe one of these type of views you showed us to create a chart?
Yes, yes, it works. As far as you're just storing your data as there, it works. You can do that.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. I think we have Ajia. I'm sorry if I didn't get that right. You can do that. And before then, the response from the form came into the table with picked form response. So this is another way of saving responses from form. Once you're creating the form, you're already linking it to a base that is going to auto-populate and everything is going to come to this place. I just created a form with few of this just to test run. So you can play around it and see how it works. So one last question and we'll round up for today. I think I have Sunday and please, can you unmute? Oh, sorry. I think these people already raised their hands saying, okay, okay.
Hello.
Yes, I can hear you. Good evening.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Thank you so much for the class. May Allah reward you. Please, mine is not a question, really. It's just like a contribution. I want to beg that you make compilations of some real life projects or client challenges for us to be able to practice with on our own at our leisure time. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, there are lots of it. There are lots of it. By the time we get introduced to the first client challenge tomorrow, we'll work and play around different types. We're going to get tasks to be done, though it is optional. But if you are up to it, there are lots of client challenges. You can go on Upwork, you can go on LinkedIn, most especially Upwork, the freelancing platforms. So there are lots of it. Just search when you get on Upwork, search for Airtable. It will bring related tasks to Airtable, then you can play around it. But definitely tomorrow we're going to work on something. Thank you so much for joining and have a good night.